Let's go! Hey, what you want to do is you want to go to our YouTube channel. Go check it out. It's iHeart Monsters Radio on YouTube because we have a pretty big guest coming in here right now. You talk about a pop. When we went to WrestleMania, this guy got a pop.
Legend.
It was a legend. Right here with us is Jeff Hardy is here. There he is. Yeah, we'll set you up over there. Still looking great. Man, how you doing, Jeff? Jeff's been in here before, and we saw you at WrestleMania here in Orlando, and it was the biggest pop. It definitely was the. How does it feel when you were not just accepted, but the reception when you guys got back here in Orlando for that big WrestleMania?
It must be great if it gives you goosebumps, and it was a great moment for my brother and I.
Yeah,
insane,
wow.
Man. We hadn't seen everything, been all caught up with wrestling, but we went to WrestleMania,
and we knew you guys were going to be there,
and the buzz was there before you guys walked. Here the Hardy Boys are
coming.
I guess they're going to be here. Hell yeah, And when you came out, bah! And I got to be honest, what is delete?
Well, that was what I was about to mention. That, man, when we heard those distant delete chants, wow, this is a movement. This is really went crazy. This whole broken thing, which is now woken. But to hear that many people going delete with the
and we didn't know what it was.
What is that? Yeah.
What's the reference?
Matt just means hurting people, getting rid of people.
Okay.
Clearing your
But
Facebook.
Jeff, okay, it wasn't promoted that the Hardy Boys were going to be there, right? It was like it was like just everyone was like gossiping,
Yeah, for sure. People were hoping that it was going to happen, but like we had a busy weekend with Ring of Honor the night before, one of their biggest shows with the Young Bucks, and the match was way worse than the one at Mania. It was rough. I mean, I was going through tables, took about 24 super kicks, and survived it. And okay, we're good to go. Got one. We're at Mania. We got to do this. We did like a 5-hour appearance that day, and we were telling people we're catching a flight to Raleigh. Just lying. I was lying my butt off. It's like a good birthday surprise party.
Because we'll see you in Orlando.
I'm heading to Raleigh.
It was the most fun part for us for WrestleMania, just to see you guys come back and doing such a great job. Yeah. And so for those that don't know, like, what was your plan when you went into wrestling? Because it seemed as if you and your brother, your plan was just to do the most dangerous, the most crazy thing, so everybody would just think you're nuts. Like what was your plan at first? When you do these things, do you do them because everybody know it's safe enough, or do you not really know?
It's gotten harder, but I think that's still kind of my plan. I'm 40 years old. I'm like, I don't even know if I can't really. I think I'm just a stunt man. but Matt, he's a little more, not as extreme. But that's always kind of been my route with things. The ladders and jumping off of stuff. So I've always been a fan of that. From the time, I was 12 years old, jumping off my first ladder or whatever, going through a table at home, off a trampoline. I mean, I've always kind of been into that extreme realm.
Were you, the way I remember it, you guys were the first to really do that out of ECW, the backyard wrestling kind of feel, vibe, and insanity. Was there anybody before you guys? And if so, that must have been your inspiration.
I'm not sure. I just back the original ECW. That's where I remember seeing a bunch of when Sabu was moonsaulting through tables, like when he would lose a match or something.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that and just loving it. I was like, this guy's a maniac, but wow, this is so cool. What does it mean? I don't know. I love it. But then it just got bigger and bigger, and we'd always messed with ladders, so that became our thing was the ladders, and then the Dudleys naturally were the tables, and Edge and Christian were the chairs.
Yep, that's right.
So it kind of all morphed together perfectly.
With us here is Jeff Hardy, who will be wrestling tonight. It's at the Amway Center. Yes.
Yeah, Jeff, learned a little bit about you. I know that as a kid, you liked to motocross, played baseball and football even. Matter of fact, I think you even likened a motocross incident to ending your football career. Do you ever think back in the day, as you wrestling at 40 years old, take all the bumps and stuff, like maybe what you could have done in football or baseball or one of the other sports?
Not really. I'm really glad I followed the path I did because I was a diehard motocross fan. I was an amateur, and I was determined to make it in the AMA to be a pro. But it cost so much money to keep a bike modified and running good. And then riding around all the tracks. It
Team
just
on the
takes
road.
So much money.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of money. And I know that your first bike was a YZ80. And oddly enough, when I was a kid, I had the Honda version of that, but all my buddies had the YZ80s, which was a legendary early starter Yamaha dirt bike, right? It's like the best.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll never forget getting my first 125, and they were so tall compared to the 80s. But anyway, I did that for a while, and wrestling, I was doing that on the side, and wrestling kind of just worked out for it. It felt very natural, and I knew I was good at it, so I just I'm glad I went the way I did.
I think you did right.
Once again, Jeff Hardy here with us. It's WWE SmackDown here tonight in Orlando. Big, incredible show. You got to go see it. You know, I like to flip around on YouTube and watch stuff, and I somehow got stuck on something. It was like the very first match of The Undertaker. And in this very first match, it's like The Undertaker and Dusty Rhodes. And I'm looking at those guys. I'm like, wow, what does it take to have longevity in professional wrestling? Because not a lot of people do, but you do. You're one of the guys that has longevity. What do you think it takes to have longevity like a Undertaker, Dusty Rhodes yourself?
I think with me, it's luck. It's a lot of luck, hope and faith. It's just I've been very fortunate and blessed to still be able to do what I do and at the pace I'm doing it. So I think a lot of luck and a lot of fate has helped me.
I would say the key has to be a connection with the fans.
Oh, yeah.
You have a connection with the fans that other people, for whatever, can't keep for a long period of time, and you have that. Have you ever tried to figure it out, or are you just doing what you do? You don't even try to figure out why you connect so well.
I kind of just do what I do, and I think I relate with them and connect with them so much. Because here's an example. Last night I was starting to paint my face. I've been brought the paint back as of late.
Yeah.
So, I'm totally the charismatic enigma now. But and I started painting my neck. I had this vision in my mind, and the neck started to come up to my face, and I don't like this, but it kept growing because I had time. Like I had 2 hours or whatever, so I was just taking my time, having fun. And I remember looking at myself, like, why do I do this? This is crazy. I was kind of afraid to go in the locker room. What's wrong with this dude? My neck was painted, my face was painted, and I was like, no, that's what you do. I mean, you can always improve and do something better and evolve.
Look at this guy. Look at that.
Dude, that's insane,
Isn't that cool?
dude.
It really is super
my
cool.
eyes are closed there, so that's it's so cool to be doing that in WWE because I did that in TNA for the longest time. It's a lot of work, but it is so cool.
The switch from TNA to get back to WWE. I mean, was that a difficult run? Because I know like guys, you're performing in front of thousands now. With TNA, it wasn't thousands. There was a couple hundred sometimes. For you, is it more difficult to get out and perform in front of 100 people than it is several thousand?
The biggest difference is, I mean, that's way better because but the biggest difference is the travel. You're wrestling 4 nights a week, and with TNA, the cool thing, you would film and then you'd be off a month or so. But I remember telling Matt when we were first talking about it, hey, I think we need to try to go back. We're getting older. But I'll never forget, I did this one spot at the Impact Zone with Drew, I think McIntyre at that point, but it was like a swanton to the stairs, and he pulled up his knees and had his knees, and it was so cool. And I said, you know what, man? I was all sore, and I said, man, I'm tired of doing WrestleMania spots in this Impact Zone.
Right.
What is wrong with me? I should be doing that in front of 75,000 people instead of 1,500 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
So,
who is it that inspired or that helped you a lot along the way? Like when you got there and you started performing, some of the big names that kind of recognized your talent and helped you.
Michael Hayes, number one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was our manager there for a while, and we rode together and did it all together. So he's our mentor, man. And I still, to this day, like I go to him for advice, or if I question myself about something, because he's a genius up here when it comes to pro wrestling. So more than anybody, Michael Hayes has helped us out.
You're the first wrestler that ever told us that. That's interesting to know. Yes, Angel, question for the one and only Jeff Hardy.
Jeff, have you ever caught yourself in that moment where you're standing there, whether it's getting ready to dive off the corner of the ring, or being introduced at a moment, and you're like, yeah, this is it. Like this is what it's about. Does one moment stand out for you like that?
Yeah, probably. The biggest swanton I've ever done was I think 33 feet to Randy Orton. It was back in 08 or 09, I can't remember, but it was when Raw was about to change the set.
Right.
So they wanted to do something big before they switched over. And naturally, you think you could do a swanton from way up there? So, yeah, I think I can. But oh my gosh, I mean, it was terrifying because it was so high. But I went all out, and it was a lot of times when I'm afraid it won't be as graceful. But that one, it was 100% commitment, and it was all out.
Do you go back and look at some of this stuff, and you're like, I can't believe I just did that?
Right, yeah, that's the fun part is when you get up from it and then you watch it back and you're so proud of yourself.
When was your first swanton? When was the very first time you did it? And do you remember going like, oh man, I might break my neck here? How old were you? I mean, this is like when Jordan first freaking dunked, so...
Yeah, I was probably 17, 18, and it was a Japanese wrestler. I forget his name, but he would do a dive over the top and with that form, and that's what I did at first. But then I just remember going, why don't I just do that in the ring as a finish and call it, because it was a senton, and just call it a swanton,
right?
Because it looks like it's the beauty of a swan dive. And so that stuck, and Jim Ross started calling it a swanton.
That's a swan dog.
Yeah, right.
Yes, Ryan Holmes, question for Jeff Hardy.
Man, you go all out in everything you do. Do you ever get mad like when you're like you didn't pick something easier as like a gimmick? When like you got the ladder thing, you got this face paint thing, so it's all this stuff you got to do, and you just see a guy who has like nothing, and you're like, oh, F you.
Yeah, right. On TV days, the face paint is a definite bummer because it's like when you have a lot to get, like a long match or a promo to try to work out, and then you got to take time to paint your face. And
have to do. Why don't you have a makeup person that does it while you just kind of focus?
That's the same reason I cut my own grass, man. I have to do it, man.
You got to do your thing.
Yeah.
Hey, and as we read your bio, and I believe I remember from when you were in here before, aren't you like a painter and you write songs and you like
a Renaissance man.
Like all kinds of art, right?
Yeah, that's my thing, man. I paint. Motocross, I don't do that as much anymore. Like speaking about that and getting up from stuff and succeeding, when I broke my leg in 2015, that was the first time in my life I couldn't get up because I broke my tibia, and that's kind of led to Matt becoming broken because we were the tag team champions. I was the Omega champion, and I built these 3 terrifying jumps at my track, and I conquered 2 of them, and had one more. It was a 100-foot triple, and so I got to do it today. I got to do it, and I just and so I went for it, and man, I came up short and just bam, cased it. And my buddy was filming it, and for the first time in my life, I can't get up. I mean, I've been knocked out and got up after and everything before, after a bad crash. But, broke my tibia, and that's what sucks when you don't make it. But when you do make it, it's so fun. So with that said, fear, just like a huge swanton, fear is part of the fun.
Hey, Jeff,
you learned this. A little more gas.
So, Jeff, we see all these stories. There are movies about it, and we hear stories of wrestlers that are really, really famous, and then they, later on in the career, they have nothing. They don't save any money. Is that something that you think about? Like, okay, I want to make sure I'm not one of the guys.
Don't be broke.
The stereotypical. Do you think about that?
Oh, Matt, now that's, I think, from our dad growing up farming tobacco, man. Number one, we learned how to save at a young age, and and pay for stuff, and have enough money to get by and prepare for your families and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I think about that all the time, especially with 2 daughters now. Matt's got 2 boys. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, naturally, I mean.
And the same kind of risk road, how did you avoid that? I don't really know. Did you the pain meds, which was littered throughout all of wrestling and all of professional sports, really? How did you avoid that road? Because I know you see one of your brothers every other week. Stuff happens with them.
Oh, yeah. No, they got me back in 2009.
Oh, okay.
I was arrested, yeah, because I was
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, way too many pain pills. So, and luckily enough, I got arrested instead of dying.
I feel you, bro.
Luckily enough, I got arrested.
Yeah, same. Not that, but sometimes it takes it to get down that low. I understand, and then you go, whoa, thank God, because the next level is just dead.
Yeah.
What people don't know is that's though it's maybe it's planned out or whatever, but it hurts. I mean, you guys are still doing things that are very, very painful.
Yeah, our 24 documentary, I don't know if y'all seen it, but if y'all haven't, you need to check it out.
I'll check it out.
It is raw and intense, and Matt and I talk about all that stuff. And
I will totally check it out, man.
It's worth the watch for sure. But back to the insight, the talents. I don't motocross as much as I would like to because I don't want to get hurt.
Right.
But now with the painting, I mean, doing my face at the shows, I'm kind of getting a little bit of both. But and actually, I'm getting out and singing more. I'm doing a show next week after SmackDown Live in Greenville, South Carolina, with my band.
Oh, really?
The first one in a while. So it's hard to get gigs these days.
So the kind of songs you write, I have to know, because when you look at
I'm flying through the air.
You look at Jeff Hardy, and he just looks like he's a badass. Look like a badass. Do you sing like sensitive love songs? Like, what do you do?
I do a little bit of everything.
Is this you? Is this you?
That is, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's Enigmatic.
Don't rearrange me, nothing's gonna save me. I'll never be a leader, I'm closer to a quitter.
This is what I would expect. If you
What's the name of the band? Is it the Jeff Hardy band, or what is it?
It's Jeff Hardy's Peroxide Gin.
Oh, very cool.
rolls right off the tongue.
Peroxide Gin. Yeah. I don't know what it means.
Do you feel like you always have to be badass? Like, do you ever, because you came in and there's definitely an air about you, clearly, and just, but you ever just like, hug a bear or anything?
Sensitive.
Yeah, for sure, man. With my daughters 7 and 2, I'm always a big old daddy teddy bear telling lame dad jokes.
All right, well, it's WWE. It's tonight at the Amway Center. Thank you so much for coming back in.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Oh,
It's a huge main event. It's me, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles taking on Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the one and only Miz.
Very great. Hey, man,
Thanks,
thank
Jeff.
you
We
so
appreciate
much.
it, buddy.
And we're going to play some more of his stuff today. That's
Thank you.
very
Awesome,
good, man. Anytime.
Thank you
all
very
right,
much.
you're listening to the Monster of the Morning.
Second grade? Yeah. Back to school? Yeah, this Friday. Yeah. When do you guys wow, so is that delayed in North Carolina, you said? Yeah, wow. Yeah. So 7 and 2. Yeah.
Yes.
How was well, I mean, you're always working stuff, but was summer crazy for you having them all? Like, here or there? I know. We gotta get back on the schedule.
Yeah. How you doing, Russ?
Good, man. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in, man. Appreciate it, man.
What's up, man?
Ryan, you want this
Yeah. We got a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Concert. Today, we are very excited and proud to announce the lineup of the 2018 Global
Cool.
Citizen
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in
there. Awesome.
I'd like an individual one too. I appreciate your story, man. I've been down a similar road.
Global Citizen event in Johannesburg, South Africa. Global Citizen Festival Mandela 100. An event honoring the life and legacy
Man, you guys are always good with monsters. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
for this year's Global Citizen Festival happening September 29th in New York.
Best of luck with that, man. I appreciate you coming in.
Janet Jackson.
Yeah, it's been a while. I remember seeing you a while ago, man.
Janelle Monáe, special guest John Legend, hosted by Deborah Lance-Burnett. And now
Man, you know, we're going to play your music today. If there's anything else you guys ever need from us, man.
Yeah, if you got some new stuff you ever want us to play, we'll play it for you, man. So, yeah. I think we have cards.
I gotta give it to Magic.
Okay, okay. Can you give one? There are cards, right? I think you can give one of those. Thank you, guys. Take care, man.
You can only do a couple of them. You don't have to do all of them.
He's great. I mean, what a nice guy. See, most wrestlers are really nice guys. Yeah.
And we're live right now.
Good.
Continue to go live.
Oh, we are. Yeah.
What up, y'all?
We might as well. Jesse's gonna come in and they're gonna play, so that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, so you can go live.
What up, everybody? How we doing?
How's it? Ryan, is he gonna switch back and forth?
Yeah. So,
He was great.
Yeah.
just one click will do it. Okay.
Dude, good job finding that music. That was cool. It was really cool.
That was perfect, man. Nice.
You can just get it ready. Right? And just
Good morning, leaders. Good morning, Dump. Good morning, family.
This guy seems nice, but why does Russ keep forcing wrestling on us? It's boring. Shut up! Eat my... Shut up.
Can I get a little bit of lighting this way? It's a little dark around.
I can turn it over here. It's just the TV.
Yeah,
when
the
it
reflection
changes.
kind of. Superstar needs. Find your light, man. Find your light. Any new shows to watch?
And then also do the switching and stuff too.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, it's super simple.
Good. That's awesome.
So just go.
There goes audio. Lost audio. No audio.
Audio dropped.
Oh, because we muted one of the.
I'm muted, yeah.
Actually, let's do this. If we keep these on most job sites, what it does is it'll switch. This is the auto. So it'll go which
It's just right for you. I'm a sales director with an MBA, over 10 years experience, who's also fluent in Japanese.
With Indeed, you can add screener questions.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How you doing?
And to accelerate your hiring even more, Indeed offers sponsored jobs. Terms and conditions apply.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
right. So now it's just like
Oh, man, how you been?
we keep
It's too early for you, I know. But when you join at 8, okay? And I thought it'd be funny if you used to be like, you can't play it back.